Everyone, welcome. It's always great to see a big crowd here, usually, as I like to say. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on November 25th, 2025, and ask our city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Present. We will ask Commissioner Henderson to do the invocation, and after that, we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
God of heaven, we are again grateful for this time that you've given us to get into your presence. We thank you, Lord God, because you are indeed an awesome God and a wonderful God, and you deserve our honor and our glory. We thank you for the privilege that you've given us to serve this community, and we pray, as we always do, that we will make decisions that will be good for the masses and not just for a few. Father, we pray for the city workers, and we pray for all who are here even now. It's in Jesus' name that we pray, and we thank you now for everything. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda is our Civic Beautification Annual Business Awards. And there's a group of ladies with the Beautification Board that do a great job. So we're glad to have you and anxious to hear what you have about all the awards.
Thank you, Mayor Bray, Commissioners. We are happy to present I probably need to get this closer, the 2025 Business Awards from the Civic Beautification Board. And what we try to do each year is spotlight several businesses throughout our city limits that have done improvements to an existing building or maybe a new building, or just have spruced up the outside, added some landscape, painted, done some things just to make it more attractive around the city. And we truly appreciate all you guys do to try to make Paducah a more beautiful place to live and to help attract tourism and just clientele to your stores. So I'll call your name out. When I call your name out, if you would come up front, and we're going to take a quick snapshot with Kay as she gives you your award. And thanks for coming tonight. And you can leave after the award ceremony. You don't unless you want to stay, you can stay.
Don't insult us by leaving.
Can we leave too?
No, she's right.
I know it's a busy week for some of you. Okay, the first award goes to Office Pride Commercial Cleaning, and the owners are Nick Moms and his team.
Morris,
I'm sorry. Her handwriting. Oh, yeah, you are, Kay. Somebody's got to shake his hand. Sorry about that. Congratulations. Next, we have Piper's Tea and Coffee, and that's Peter Barnett and his wife, Amber. For the owners of Piper's, are you here tonight? Nope, not here. Okay, and who isn't happy that we have the Be Happy Pie Club, not Pie, Pie Company? Judy Payne owns that. And next we have View Magazine. It's at 2507 Broadway Street. Maggie Armand and her son are here to accept the award. Oh, we've got two boys. And next we have Hernandez Painting. It is at 1643 Broadway Street. Isidra Hernandez is here to accept the award. And next we have the Goodwill Opportunity Center. It's located at 1601 Broadway Street. Margie Silva, Caitlin Wilson, Stuart Thompson, and Chad Spencer, here to accept the award. I'll let you guys all gather in. Okay. Next, we have the Golden Carrot Natural Foods Store. If you've noticed the beautiful mural on the side of their building, it's gorgeous. It's located at 433 Jefferson Street. We have Michelle and Jeff Speech here to accept the award. For Michelle. And next, we have the West Kentucky Technical College campus at 4810 Alvin Barkley Drive. And Dr. Reese is here to accept that award. He did leave.
Where's the police? Where's the police? Get that man back in here.
Did he really leave?
He really did. Next, we have the Hotel Metropolitan of Paducah at 724 Oscar Cross Avenue, and Miss Betty Dobson is here to accept that award. Or maybe she didn't make it. And next, we have the Chicken Salad Chick at 2670 New Hope Road. Laura White and Katie Englert are here. Next, we have Innovations Branding House, 609 Jefferson Street. The owners are Todd and Laura Duff, and they could not make it tonight. They're traveling. And next, we have Advanced Internal Medicine, 2005 Broadway. Dr. Ryan Fazine and Carla Fazine. They've done a great job renovating an older building. And next on, we have West Park Village. Billy Brooks and Jan Parton are the owners. I'm not sure if they were going to be here tonight or not. But they have done a great job updating their shopping center. JT Sports Bar and Grill at 528 North 32nd Street. Justin Simmons is here to accept the award. And next, we have Primax Composite Home Systems. It's located at 444 North 8th Street. And I'm not sure that they are here. We tried to contact them. And Sola Salon at 2614 Bridge Street, Suite 104. She's here. And that concludes our awards for 2025, and thank you all so much for coming tonight.
Stacy, thank you for all the work that you put into this, and thank all the businesses for caring about the exteriors of their businesses. And it's great to have everybody here tonight.
Yeah, I want to thank Jill and Kay. They really put a lot of work into it this year. I've been a little absent this year.
Well, let's give credit where credit is due, right? Nobody can quite make the exit like Dr. Reese can they?
I texted him and told him he got the wrong award. He needed to bring it back.
That was good.
We'll see if he does.
Okay, we got, before we move to the regular agenda, we have a couple of people who want to make public comments. And the first person is Parker Jaco. And Parker's been here before, so I think he knows the rules of engagement. Welcome, Parker.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys again. And God, the room's still packed. Okay. So I'm here today because, as most of you here, we care deeply about the future of Paducah. I care about what the city is becoming, and I care about whether the people who live here today will be able to thrive in the Paducah of tomorrow. So to start off with, we all want growth. We all want to see revitalization. We want to see new projects, new energy. The Southside Revitalization Plan that you guys are going to be talking about today, the Riverfront Plaza, and many other initiatives underway that the mayor has even talked about. They show that Paducah has a vision. And that's something to be proud of. We should all be proud of ourselves for that. But vision without attention to the basics can leave people behind. Right now, our infrastructure is already showing signs of strain. We have road paint so faded that turn lanes disappear in the rain. We have sidewalks cracking and stopping suddenly with no safe space to go. We have crosswalks that feel like suggestions instead of protections. These problems are not abstract. They affect everyday people trying to move safely throughout our own community. Yeah, so if this is where we are now, imagine where we will be as our population grows. As more families move here, as more visitors explore our city, growth doesn't just bring opportunity, it brings pressure. If we don't strengthen our foundation, that pressure will fall squarely on the people who can least absorb it. I'm not here to dissuade growth by any means. I believe in Paducah's potential. I want our community to flourish, but flourishing requires more than just new projects. It requires safe streets, connected sidewalks, functional crosswalks, and bike lanes that don't put people at risk for simply trying to get where they're going. I may be preaching to the choir, and the city may already be working towards solutions. This commission may already have plans for fixing these issues that I've been bringing up. But I hope to emphasize how essential these basics are. Investing in infrastructure isn't just about concrete and paint. It's about dignity. It's about safety. It's about making sure that when Paducah grows, everyone grows within it. So I'm asking passionately, very nicely, for us to prioritize the fundamentals. Let's build the kind of city where growth isn't just something we fear, but it's something we are fully prepared to welcome. And that's all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for making those comments, and those comments will not go on deaf ears. So appreciate your perspective very much. And our second speaker is Kimberly Yates.
And this is my first time speaking before the commission, so I understand I have 2 minutes.
Three.
Three?
Yeah,
Okay,
3
that's better,
minutes.
but I have written it out what I'm gonna say, so I'll stick to the agenda because otherwise I'll talk for 30 minutes.
Okay.
So, and first I want to thank you all for having me, and I thank Commissioner Thomas for his support in this. My name is Kimberly Yates. I have over 15 years' experience related to animal welfare. I also am a commissioner on the Paducah Human Rights Commission, and I'm executive director of Hands of Hope, where we have one sector that's related to animal rescue. I'm here to present why Paducah urgently needs a breeding ordinance and why passing it will immediately benefit animal control, the Humane Society, and the City of Paducah. Right now, Kentucky has no statewide breeding regulations. That means anyone can breed dogs or cats with zero oversight, zero licensing, and zero accountability. Because of this, irresponsible backyard breeding is flooding our shelters and overwhelming our animal control and Humane Society and rescues. In many cases, unregulated litters become the city's financial responsibility through intake, feeding, medical care, or in other aspects. Paducah taxpayers are currently footing the bill for the consequences of unregulated breeding, while the breeders generating the problem pay nothing. Not a license fee, no taxes, no veterinary requirements. Artie's law changes that. My proposal requires a breeding license, 1 litter per year per household, veterinary approval, vaccinations, and microchipping. It requires spay neuter of all puppies, kittens at the appropriate age as determined by a veterinarian before being sold. Enforcement penalties proposed include fines, surrender, charges for illegal breeding. These simple, common sense guidelines will produce 3 immediate benefits: relief for animal control, the Humane Society, and animal rescue organizations. With fewer unregulated litters, shelter overcrowding goes down. Animal control officers spend less time responding to stray dog, cats, and neglect cases. This means more bandwidth and resources for genuine emergencies. It also will help with increased public safety. Reducing stray animals lowers bite incidents, disease risk, and neighborhood nuisances. This improves safety for residents and lowers liability for the city. This also generates new revenue for the city of Paducah. This ordinance finally shifts the financial burden away from taxpayers by generating breeding license revenue, local business license revenue, sales tax revenue from regulated breeders, and fines from illegal breeding operations. Right now, Paducah receives 0 of that potential income. This ordinance is not anti-breeder. It is pro-community, pro-safety, and pro-revenue. It ensures that only responsible licensed breeders operate in Paducah while reducing animal suffering and relieving pressure on our shelter system. Paducah has an opportunity to lead the state by putting a smart, humane, financially responsible system in place. Passing this ordinance protects animals, taxpayers, and strengthens public safety. Animal control, they're overweight and overworked and underpaid, and they're very good, by the way. They do a lot. Shelters and rescues are overcrowded. Personally speaking, I, along with my nonprofit, have spent upwards of $60,000 this year going toward animal rescue. It's way overdue for a call to action. And that's all I have. Not really.
But that's all you get.
That's all I
But thank you very much. And I'll make really brief comments. A couple of weeks ago, we introduced an ordinance that was designed to, stop these puppy breeders, unregulated. And we've gotten a ton of backlash from that. And so I think that the commission at this point, is going to just take a little time and really think about what our best next steps are.
Fair enough.
Definitely, all of us are supportive of our animals
Yes.
out there, and a lot of the things that you say are, absolutely true. But when you get into passing ordinances and, you pass an ordinance that helps this person, and there's another person that's on the opposite side. So I think we have to reflect
Certainly.
and try to make the best decision we can.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here.
Kimberly.
Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted with one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval unless any commissioner would like an item removed for separate discussion. If not, I'd ask you to read the items.
Approve minutes for the November 4th, 2025 special call meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Receive and file documents. Joint appointment of Jessica Hausman to the Joint 911 Parcel Fee Appeals Board to replace Jules Jones, who has resigned. This term shall expire November 27th, 2026. Appointment of Valerie Pollard, Bob Wade, Brian Wyatt, Jewel Jones, and Douglas McClure to the Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency, URCDA. These terms shall expire October 8th, 2029, October 8th, 2026, October 8th, 2028, and October 8th, 2027, respectively. Appointment of Mark McGregor to the Board of Adjustment to replace Erna Boykin, whose term has expired. This term shall expire August 31st, 2029. Personnel actions, a municipal order adopting contract modification number 4 to the construction contract with A&K Construction for a purchase credit in the amount of $1,341,242.08 for items removed from the contract. A municipal order authorizing the Facility Maintenance Division of the Public Works Department to advertise for sealed bids for the window tint and film for City Hall windows.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, that's approved. So let's move to municipal orders. We have 3 of them tonight, and I'll ask the city clerk to read the first one.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving a Funding Agreement with the Paducah Cooperative Ministry in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for an emergency shelter and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same."
So move.
Second?
City manager?
Yeah, Mayor and Commission, per the request of the Commission at our last meeting, staff has drafted this municipal order for your consideration tonight. This municipal order outlines that a payment in the amount not to exceed $200,000 would be provided to Paducah. I'm not the only one that can't speak tonight. Check my dentures here. The Paducah Cooperative Ministry, the first 100,000 of that would be delivered no later than April 1st of 2026. And similar to what the county approved, the final 100,000 would be at the conclusion and making sure that of the construction and the benchmarks are all met. You will recall that previously the body had incorporated a small housing grant, and previously Paducah Cooperative Ministries were a recipient of 50,000 of that. This is over and above that, and so it is 200,000 in new dollars going to. And I'll answer any questions that you might have.
The 50,000 was really for operations for that, right?
It was several things, but operations was one of the items.
It was different than the construction.
It helped facilitate with their existing programming. Mhm.
I
Any
think we've all
questions?
talked about it, heard
Well, I
about
just-
it, and the need.
Yeah, well, I just want to say, I think this is something we've been stewing over for a while. That would be my terminology. But I do think, I do appreciate the county and the 3 commissioners who stepped out, to call this out, for the county. And there's a lot of things that the city and county, I think, could be cooperating on. And this is a really good example. And I appreciate the leadership that was shown over there. And I think this is a good example of, one example of where the city and county can work together to help accomplish a goal. And I know Lacey and her team have been working really hard out there in the community. Lacey's everywhere, it seems like. I don't go anywhere and I don't see her. Get away from me, Lacey, get away. But,
Well, and they're here tonight. I think, we said that they didn't have to speak. They've already presented to us. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you all being here
We do.
tonight, Lacey and the board of PCM. So thank you all for being here.
yeah, we do appreciate you being here. And appreciate all the great hard work you're doing in the community. You're really, as we like to say, plowing new ground because nobody else is doing it. So, specifically as it relates to that shelter. So, I'd ask,
Besides Washington Street Baptist Church.
I said specifically as it relates to the,
And please don't let Commissioner Smith drag me into whatever he's got going on over here.
he is really good at doing that. He is really good at doing that. Okay. I would ask the city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
All right. Congratulations.
Now we'll see how long you guys stick around. So we have 2 ordinances related to the urban renewal, the work that we're doing in the south side, and I'll ask the city clerk to read the first one.
And as you need to let Carol Galt out, I think that's a good opportunity for you to exit if you need to.
And do not be embarrassed. But there will never be another grant. Thank you.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Transfer of Certain Properties from the City of Paducah to the Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency, URCDA, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same."
Second.
Ms. Galt?
Okay. This is just another step towards the Southside Revitalization Program. As you all appointed new URCDA members, we've had URCDA in our community since the early 1960s. But when we really didn't have an active revitalization area, it was working in conjunction with the Planning Commission. They would meet and then adjourn, and not all of them served dual roles, but some did. And so now we've completely separated it from the Planning Commission, we've repopulated it, and now we're giving them back properties. And that's what you're seeing are the deeds. There's 29 properties that are in the project area that has been in the city's name that we've been acquiring through over the last year and a half or so. And those are going to be transferred to URCDA because they'll be reviewing the proposals, looking at the criteria, just as we've done in Lower Town and in Fountain Avenue previously. And then there are 4 properties that were being held by URCDA that are no longer in project areas that are actually coming back to you. And most of those, one of them has like a deed restriction that can't be sold, things like that. But you should have them outlined, the deeds that list the properties separately.
So Carol, I'm not sure everybody understands. I mean, it's taken me a while to kind of just ramp up, but URCDA that board was populated and working in both the Lower Town project and with the Midtown.
In Fountain Avenue.
In Fountain Avenue.
Mhm, yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Valerie Pollard, who was just appointed tonight, has served previously as chair of that board.
Great.
She has some experience. Bob Wade is very familiar with it too, has served. And so they both have their arms around it extremely well. We have 3 new members. They'll all be trained again right after the first of the year. A lot of their functions come out of KRS 99. It's very strictly based on a revitalization effort. And, of course, Mr. Denton is here tonight, who will be serving as counsel for them as well. So if you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate.
So that board merged, so to speak, into planning and zoning once the Fountain Avenue project kind of began to wane, or we
Correct.
accomplished our goals
Once
there?
we accomplished our goals, they just, you never wanted to get rid of URCDA because it has a purpose. As you can see, it can hold title to property. It has lots of, but it really needs an active revitalization effort going on behind it. So it was merged into Planning Commission. One would meet like at 5, the other would meet like at 5:30, and not all members serve dual roles, as I mentioned, but yes.
While you're up here, why don't you go on and explain the transfer of properties from the next municipal order we're gonna vote on, which is the transfer back to the city.
Back to the city. There are 4 properties that are really outside the revitalization area. And so we're just transferring them back to the city. They were left over. One of them, and I couldn't really tell you why it ended up in URCDA. It has a deed restriction on it. It's not to ever be sold. I think they probably were at that time were just using URCDA as a holding entity. And so it was in URCDA's name, but it really doesn't pertain to the revitalization efforts at all. So we're transferring those back to the city so that we can make good decisions about them internally.
Okay. Good. And I'll just make this final statement, and that is, Carol and her team have been working really hard for really the last year, to get all this up and going. I mean, we've got the Southside incentives, ready to go, and so this URCDA board, is really going to be the oversight board that's going to be making some very important decisions for phase 1 of the Southside Revitalization project. So we took some time and a lot of care to pick those board members carefully, but they're going to be doing what I call yeoman's work as we get into this project. So So a lot of progress here tonight with the steps that we're taking.
There is a lot of progress, and this board has a lot of responsibility. And you'll notice members from CFSB are here tonight, and of course, they're here to talk about the incentives and that side. They want to be supportive of that, but they also understand that URCDA will function as a bank board in a lot of ways. They'll be reviewing whether the feasibility is there financially for people to do it. They want to put them in a position where we have win-wins on behalf of the city and on behalf of people getting homes and really revitalizing that neighborhood. So it's a big deal from our perspective.
I just want to say one more thing. We got a nasty email this week from somebody, who clearly didn't understand,
Right.
everything that was going on with this. But everything that we do as it relates to the Southside URCDA, we're going to be transparent. Meetings are going to be open.
Absolutely.
People will be able to come, express their opinion, and we will have tough decisions to make as we go forward, but we're going to do it, open and with transparency. And I
Absolutely.
think that's very important.
Absolutely.
So,
I don't think I got that,
got what?
that email.
No, I wasn't about to forward it to you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No. Actually, did you get it?
Yeah,
Yes.
I responded to it.
Yeah, it came through customer service.
Oh,
customer
okay,
experience, so.
okay, thank you.
Okay, call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And then I ask the city clerk to read the final municipal order.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Transfer of Certain Properties from the Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency, URCDA, to the City of Paducah, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same."
So moved.
Second.
Any questions about this? Carol's already explained it. We good? Okay, call roll, please.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So we have one ordinance to adopt tonight, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky to enact payments for board members." This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends the City of Paducah Code of Ordinances to establish consistent compensation for voting members of various city boards, commissions, councils, and advisory bodies at a rate of $100 per meeting for chairpersons and $75 per meeting for members. Payments authorized by this ordinance will begin January 1, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll. Oh, sorry. We probably should talk about this one. Are there any questions or thoughts about board member payments? We've discussed it
I think
at length.
We've discussed quarterly that they'll be paid, how, it begins January 1st, but it goes quarterly.
Most boards will be paid quarterly. That is just, that's very similar to what we currently do for the Planning Commission, and it just makes it a little bit simpler. So even if they meet monthly, most payments would be done quarterly.
And we're consistent with other cities that are paying their boards.
We are.
I know, Mayor, you and I have gotten maybe
We
just a
have.
couple from people that felt like it wasn't necessary and that people in the community should look at it as public service. And while I agree with that, I just think things have changed over the years. I know you go through and take that, you make those appointments, you take it very seriously and spend a lot of time on it, and you felt like that this would help with finding quality people to serve on these boards. And you've explained that to several. I think it might be good if you explain that now.
Yeah, so, yeah, I did have some feedback from people who said, I don't understand why you're paying board members. I mean, I've served, on 6 boards of the city, and I never got paid anything, and I always did it, because I wanted to help our city. And so I understand that perspective. I mean, that's, that's fair. And there are people, and one of the options is that board members do not have to be paid. So you don't have to accept the payment. So there is that option when you get started. But when you look at it, first of all, a couple of things. I just wanted to research this. The fiscal court, McCracken County, they pay their Board of Elections, their Planning Commissioners, Board of Adjustment, Board of Appeals, and their Code Enforcement Board. They all get paid. So you've got that sort of inequity sitting out there, to some degree. Second of all, I appoint, you all approve my appointments to all 30 boards. And so already we are, this ordinance is going to affect about 125 people, somewhere in that neighborhood. But already we're paying JSA that I appoint to, as well as Paducah Power System, which I appoint to. They all get paid. So, we're just trying to equalize things, make sure there's equity out there, and at the same time, let board members or potential board members know, your time is of value. Your time, you come, once a quarter, once a month, you spend a couple of hours, your thought process to help this city is important to us, and your experience is important to us. And so it's in the whole scheme of things, it's to an individual, it's not a lot of money, but it does say to them, your time and experience is important. So that's where I come out on the issue. So if there are no other discussion, I would ask the city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. We have 3 ordinances to introduce. And the first one has to do with golf carts, and I'll let our city clerk read it, and then I'll make a few comments.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance creating a new article of Chapter 110, Traffic and Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, related to golf carts. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance allows golf carts to operate on City of Paducah streets with posted speed limits of 25 miles per hour or less. Golf carts must be inspected by the McCracken County Sheriff's Office, permitted by the Paducah Police Department, insured and operated only between sunrise and sunset. Operators must hold a valid driver's license, display a slow-moving vehicle emblem, and follow all traffic laws. Golf carts may cross roadways where the speed limit is 35 miles per hour or less, but cannot be driven along those roadways. A $25 permit is required, valid until the golf cart changes ownership. The police department may deny, suspend, or revoke permits for safety or compliance violations with appeals right through the city manager. Exemptions are provided for city-owned golf carts, riverboat tourism shuttle at the riverfront, and carts used within permitted special events. Violations are misdemeanors, punishable by fines of $20 to $500 and/or imprisonment for a period not to exceed 30 days.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wilson, you want to kick it off?
Well, I have received some feedback about this, but I do feel like there's probably a need for us to take some time and study it more than we have just this past period of time. I know we did reduce the speed limit from 35 to 25. I've had some questions about after sunset, that some of the reasons why people wanted to be in a golf cart was to not be driving on a street maybe, and if they are required to have lights anyway, and their golf cart is lit with brake lights and all of that, why can't they drive past dark if they're at a friend's house and they wanted to go back to their home? I do think that we would get other feedback. I've had some about just being in neighborhoods instead of just open all the way across the town, across the city. So I would like to propose that we not rush into this and take some time. We're going into winter. I think people would probably be using these more in the spring, summer, fall than while it's cold outside.
Yeah.
So I would just like for us to take some time to study it.
Yeah, I tend to agree because I too have had calls. People have stopped me on the streets, and I got an email this week, I think, expressing some of those same concerns. So I think it would only be wise for us to look at it some more.
Yeah, I think, make no mistake, I think the reason we're looking at it is because their golf carts probably work in certain situations, in certain neighborhoods, and there are people who desire them out there, and it makes sense. I don't think we've found exactly the right ordinance, with the speed limits, and so I agree, that we should take a look. I know that Lindsay's done quite a bit of research, so I want to make sure that we all appreciate all the effort that she's put into this, because she's talked to a lot of people and done a lot of research. But Lindsay, maybe you could talk about some of the, some of what some other cities are doing, some options, some things we could think about and look at.
So, as it's currently written, right now, it's a reintroduction at 25 miles per hour. That allows for a golf cart to drive along a road that would be 25 miles per hour or less. And it allows them to cross a road that would be anything that was 35 miles per hour. So kind of to give you an idea of what that looks like before we get into all the different options that are available, I just want to pull up a map here that our GIS put together. So this is kind of the map that shows you the green roads would be anything 25 miles per hour. The blue is going to be something that you could cross but not drive along. So you're looking at roads that kind of are faster, more traffic. Really, the green is going to keep you mostly in the neighborhoods, but you could drive across these 35 miles per hour roads. And as you can see, it kind of is the majority of the city, and it's very spread out as to where you're looking at. So that's kind of an overview. If you all want to dig in any more, you can let me know. That kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at. Now, the sunrise to
Lindsay,
suns.
let me ask you on that.
Yeah.
On pulling that, what about Broadway, Jefferson, and Kentucky? Those were streets specifically mentioned to me.
Yep. So Jefferson, if you take away the 35 mile an hour, if you lower it to 25, Jefferson gets taken away. Jefferson would not be a street on which you could drive a golf cart. It would be a street that you could cross to get to another road, but you could not drive along it. Broadway is the same way until you get up here to like Grace Episcopal Church. That's where it goes down to a lower speed limit. So in this area, moving on down toward the riverfront, you'd be able to drive a golf cart. Of course, Kentucky Avenue is going to be out entirely. Monroe is very similar to Broadway in that once you get, kind of past this North 9th Street, that's going to be not an area where you could drive.
So on Madison, you could drive that. You could take Madison all the way downtown.
Correct. You could take Madison all the way downtown.
It's unrelated. I just wonder why Monroe would have a 35 mile per hour limit versus 25. Seems like we might need to look at that. That's not related to this, but it seems kind of odd because that's a neighborhood. But the complaint, most of the complaints that I've heard have really been based on minors using them as toys, I guess, and parents not supervising them. So I think that's something but I think we have it written in there that's.
Anyone,
minors
you would
can't.
have to have a valid driver's license to be able to
And you
drive
do
one.
anyway, right? I mean,
Exactly. That is a state
They're legally
requirement.
driving.
They're illegal now.
They're illegal now.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
Exactly. The issue is just enforcement.
But
with
even
that.
on a golf course, you have to be 16
Correct.
to drive them.
Correct. You have to be 16 years old in order to drive with a valid driver's license. That is the requirement. And I will say that when we've talked to Bowling Green, who has, we've talked to their police chief, we've talked to several people in their police department about enforcement specifically in Bowling Green. They allow for any roads in the city that are 35 miles per hour or less is how their ordinance is written. And they said that they haven't seen a lot of issues other than minors. That is their biggest enforcement issue that they have. But outside of that, they haven't had a lot of other issues that they've had since they passed that several years ago.
So a question, if someone's minor is out, gets pulled over and the ticket goes to the parent, correct? Okay.
I mean, I want to go on record as saying I think there is an ordinance here that that's good for the city. I just don't think we've quite figured out what that is, and of course, I mean, one of the things you want to talk about, a neighborhood option.
Yes, so this is something we talked about a few months ago, like we kind of compared what other cities do, so I wanted to kind of bring this back. So Frankfurt is one of the cities that they allow golf carts, but they designate specific roads. So they have gone in and said, we specifically want to allow this in this area of our city, but nowhere else. And so they, in their ordinance, define specific streets where they want to allow golf carts. So that's an option that would be available if you want to start with a specific area and then look at expanding in the future. You could choose a specific area to allow golf carts. It's just kind of difficult to make, I think, everyone happy
Yeah, I don't wanna get
with
into
what you
that.
choose. The other option that we've seen is allowing for an application process to add new roads to the ordinance. So they started with just a few roads that they designated, and then anything on top of that, if there is an individual in their city that wants to have their area dedicated, they would have to list out the streets that they would want to be allowed on, and then they would have to get a certain percentage of their neighbors, I believe it's 50%, to sign off saying they also want it on those roads, to be allowed golf carts on those roads. So those are the kind of the two. That does require a lot of administration of the applications. It's an internal review, and then it comes back to their city commission for approval each time.
I tell you what I'd like to propose, or what I'd like to think about is appointing, maybe a committee with some citizens, who are interested in this, maybe one of our commissioners, to meet and talk about it. And, I would have to find a group of citizens who would really want to serve on it and maybe work through and come back with a solution that we might talk about, and they could kind of vet that solution to all of us before they come back and propose it. But that way we're listening to people and we get some community input. That's kind of my knee-jerk to sort of next steps. And I do agree that, there won't be many people driving golf carts in the middle of the winter, some, but.
So would this committee have the authority to, I guess they can recommend, but the authority to say, we don't even want to golf?
Right. You want to be chairman?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Oh. Will this committee be paid?
Thanks for muddying up the water.
It would not be a formal board. It would only be an ad hoc committee.
Don't change
Ad hoc.
There are some neighborhoods that adjoin golf courses that I see that they want to keep their golf cart at their house and drive it back and forth. And it's on city streets. I understand that. And, if you're downtown close and you have a golf cart, I guess you still park it in the parking lot just like you would your car. Correct? I haven't seen a lot of them downtown, but you can't park them on the sidewalk or anything.
I don't think people generally drive them and park them for very long. They're pretty much on them all the time. They might go in a store or something, but.
Yeah, no, you're correct. You would not be able to drive it on a sidewalk anywhere in the city, and you would not be able to park it on a sidewalk.
And what
It would be
about the
under this.
question that came to me about why are we limiting it to sunset, which now would be 5 o'clock around in there, when aren't they required to have brake lights?
They are.
And
They're required to
lit.
have lights. That is something, actually, the state KRS used to specifically state that you could only have them from sunrise to sunset. So that has been repealed out of the state KRS. So we could authorize them for later if we so choose. It's just a safety.
Okay.
So this
Sorry.
committee could take that up as well, and talk about it, so.
Is the commission open to, if it wasn't a committee, some kind of feedback request from the general public? Survey, that type of thing?
I would think that'd be good.
Well, yes, I would be open to that, but I really think somebody digging and talking to people and working through that with somebody, I think we could do both. But we can discuss. We don't have to make that decision today. But I think we need more study, and so this commission will do that. We'll take that. And I appreciate all the work that Lindsay, you, and everybody else has put into it. And I think there's something out there that we can do.
I agree. Thank you,
Okay?
Lindsay.
All right, great. All right, we'll move on to the second ordinance that we are introducing tonight. And I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion, the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance creating a new article of Chapter 106 Taxation of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, related to abandoned urban properties. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance would create a new tax category for properties classified as abandoned urban property under Kentucky law. This tool, authorized by KRS 92.305 and KRS 132.012, is intended to address long-term vacant and neglected properties to create safety hazards and negatively affect neighborhoods. An abandoned urban property means any vacant structure or vacant or unimproved lot or parcel of ground in a predominantly developed urban area which has been vacant or unimproved for a period at least 1 year, and which, because of its dilapidated, unsanitary, unsafe, vermin-infested, or otherwise dangerous to safety of persons, it is unfit for its intended use, by reason of neglect or lack of maintenance, has become a place for accumulation of trash or debris, or has become infested with rodents or other vermin, has been tax delinquent for a period of at least 3 years, has had methamphetamine contamination notice posted as provided by KRS 224.1-410 for a period of at least 90 days, and the owner has neither appealed the notice nor provided a certificate of decontamination during the 90 days, or is located within a development area established under KRS 65.7049, .7051 and .7053. This ordinance would apply a tax rate of $1.50 per $100 of assessed value to qualifying properties. Further, the Fire Prevention Division shall adopt a policy for compiling the list of abandoned urban property. The Code Enforcement Board shall be responsible for reviewing Fire Prevention's recommended list each year and determining which properties legally meet the definition of abandoned urban property. The Code Enforcement Board will also hear and decide all owner appeals, and its certified list shall become the official list used for applying the abandoned urban property tax.
So moved.
Second.
Our city clerk has a presentation she's going to walk us through, and then we'll have a discussion.
So we are here tonight to discuss the abandoned urban property tax. This is an important tool that the state legislature has given to cities to be able to use. Kind of the purpose of this is to discourage people from holding on to properties that create safety hazards and depress neighborhoods. So this is not something that Paducah is inventing. This is something that many cities use as a tool, and the mayor and city manager had asked that we do some additional research on it and then bring this back for the city commission's consideration. So the why this ordinance, the city taxpayer incurs a high cost for the enforcement and cleanup and demolition of these properties that become blighted in our city. And we are authorized through KRS to create a tax that is at a higher rate than our standard real property tax, to incentivize people to either take care of these properties, sell, reinvest in them. So what is an abandoned urban property? You heard me read the entire KRS definition there, but what it means is that it has been vacant for 1 year. That is the baseline. So a property has to be vacant for 1 year and meet at least one more criteria. And those criteria are either it's unsafe, unfit, infested, unsanitary, it's accumulated trash, it's at least 3 years property tax delinquent, it's contaminated, or it exists within a development area that's established under KRS 65, and that basically means a TIF district. So this would apply to residential properties, commercial properties, and vacant lots as well. So it applies to all of those. So what this ordinance does and what it does not do. So it creates a new property tax classification and applies $1.50 per $100 of assessed value to these properties that are categorized as abandoned urban properties. So for reference, our current property tax rate is 0.271. So you're looking at over a 5 times increase on that. It establishes an annual list of properties that fall under this definition. It creates a notice requirement to those property owners, and it gives them an appeals process. What it does not do, it does not grant authority to enter or inspect the property without a warrant. So it does not give us that right. It does not require property owners to make repairs. It does not trigger automatic foreclosure on the property or property seizure. This is truly just a tax classification. It's not a code enforcement action, and it's not a condemnation tool. So how will we compile the list? So the ordinance sets out that fire prevention will create a policy specific to how they're going to compile the original list. That policy must prioritize long-term vacant and unimproved properties. It has to avoid penalizing property owners that are making good faith efforts to renovate, lease, or sell. And it has to allow property owners to at least temporarily defer under certain conditions. So this gives us kind of a balanced approach that targets truly problematic properties, not owners who are trying to actually reinvest in Paducah. So when could a property be deferred? And when I say deferred, I mean, we've put it on the list because it's been vacant a year and it has, issues that have come up that it qualifies as abandoned urban property. So under certain conditions, they could be deferred to another year before they have to pay that tax. So if they are under active renovation, if they have an active sale or lease effort going on, if they have an approved redevelopment activity, or if they have temporary legal or financial barriers such as probate, estate settlement, those kind of things. Those are reasons why we could look at those and say, okay, we're going to defer those to the next year to see if these things get resolved. If they do not, then they could be subject to the property tax. So I want to talk just a little bit about code enforcement's role. Our code enforcement board, that good news, you just authorized payment to, because they're going to have a lot of work. Under this ordinance, they would take fire prevention's list of properties, they would review that and certify it as the list. So then they would go through and make sure that those apply the state definition, the 4 deferral categories, and then they would hear any appeals that are brought in by property owners. Kind of what this looks like. So our property taxes for this year have already gone out. This doesn't affect anyone this year. This starts kind of in January, and it would be for next year's property taxes. So between the adoption of this ordinance and around March, we compile that list. By April 1st, that is certified by the Code Enforcement Board. By May, notices go out. June, July, appeals are being heard. And then October is when you would see the new amount show up on the tax bill. And then that repeats each year with new lists. This is just a comparison chart of what other cities charge as far as their abandoned urban property tax. So you'll see that
Question. I think earlier slide said $1.50 per $100 value.
Yes,
Is
Similar to
that
what,
accurate, or is it per $1,000?
it's per 100.
it's per 100 of assessed value.
It's similar to our, that's the way the state statute reads, even on our property tax
I
today.
thought a mill rate was really based on $1,000.
No, it's 100
Okay.
per 100 valuation. So if you have a
So-
$200,000 piece of property, then you divide that by 100 and then multiply it times 1.5.
Which would be how much?
Then, math more than that on the thing.
1,500 or
Yeah, no.
2,000?
No. So 200,000 divided by the 100, so you get to 200 times the 1.5
At $300.
dollars.
All right.
So kind of looking at comparable cities around our size that use this tool, most of them do fall in that $1.50 range. That is the maximum allowable under state statute. But just because other cities do it that way, I wanted to go over, why did we recommend $1.50? Well, the amount has to be high enough to change behavior. That is the maximum rate that if the rate is too low, it's not going to encourage anyone to do anything differently. So we also thought that the legislature intended for that because it is the maximum rate they allowed. The cost of blight far exceeds the cost of the tax. So when you talk about these vacant and deteriorated properties, they have additional police and fire runs, they have code enforcement activity, they have board up costs, cleanup, demolition, all of that comes back to the taxpayer.
many of these qualifying properties actually have a low assessed value. So that higher rate of $1.50 will help actually be a penalty that hopefully makes them want to reinvest or sell the property. And then there is when I say targeting the worst properties, our hope is that we are truly narrowing this to focus on those properties that are blight, that are causing issues, that do end up being on lists that we have, and bringing down their neighborhoods. And then there is a substantial implementation cost and administrative burden to doing this. And so I want to just kind of talk about that very quickly. It's going to cost about $30,000 in staff, technology, and legal to get this up and running in the first year. And it is important to note that we think that we will need additional foreclosure and legal budget in next fiscal year based on what we're doing here. So, and revenue expectations may be looking at getting 10 to 25% of what we bill back, and especially in the early years of this. So I know one of the major questions is how many properties are going to be impacted. We are in the process, very early stages of compiling a list, but that final number is going to change based on staff review, certification, appeals, all of that. But for reference, Covington did provide some good input, and they said they have about 190 properties on their list out of roughly 17,000 addresses. We look to probably have something similar, is my guess. So how will we define vacancy? It's not used for its intended purpose, and it's not lawfully occupied. And how will we prove vacancy? So our final protocol on this will be set in early 2026 if this is adopted by the commission, but it's going to be a menagerie of different things like field inspections, PVA data, prior code cases, real estate records, utility shutoffs, those kind of things. So the mayor asked that I provide a few examples. I don't have these. I didn't want to, put specific addresses on display, but these are some case studies that we've looked at. So let's imagine that there's a Southside home that's in disrepair and has delinquent taxes on it. That if a resident is living in that home, this doesn't apply to them because it is not vacant, and that is the baseline thing that has to be true before you can apply the tax.
And it has to be vacant for a year.
At least 1 year, correct. So let's say that there is a property in the development district, our TIF district, and it is an unsafe property, so a building that is falling down in our downtown. Vacant for multiple years, not for sale, or in probate, major disrepair, it's unsafe, no ongoing permits, no attempts to improve it. Let's say that their assessed value is $260,000. That means their annual tax goes from $704 to $3,900.
This could be a building on Broadway. I mean, this could be. And just to be clear, it has to be vacant for at least a year. And the second qualification is that it's in the TIF district.
Yes. So
buildings downtown and generally in the TIF district meet the other qualification.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an example of what the tax goes from $700 to almost $4,000.
correct. Lowertown historic home renovation. So there's a property been vacant for multiple years. There's some code enforcement cases that were there from the previous owner. New owner come in, purchased it for renovation. The work is progressing, but it's a slow progress, and currently under renovation with some active permits going. So this could be deferred to a future year, and if work were to stop and the code cases remain, we could put this tax in to incentivize either sell the property or renovate it. So, and then one other, just talk about like a large vacant commercial property. You might be able to think of one that has been vacant for multiple years, but doesn't have any active code cases, It's not considered unsafe or infested or contaminated. It's not in a development district. It is actively for sale, but for much more than what it's assessed for. So it's just kind of sitting there and the owners aren't doing anything with it. We would not be able to do anything for that property with this tool. So this case kind of just underscores that this tax is not a blanket on all vacant buildings, and it isn't a silver bullet. It is a targeted tool that focuses only on those properties that are creating chronic issues. So something like this, you would have to look at other types of reinvestment and growth and ways to incentivize people to come in and take over that property.
Lindsay, let me just go back just a little bit. You talked about the, particularly the Southside homes that are in disrepair. So this would not even address what we would do, or if we could do anything to those homes that were in disrepair, but you have people living in them.
Correct. So this tool specifically is just a tax.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you have someone that is living in one of those homes that is in disrepair, this is not a tool that would affect them in any way.
Okay.
You would be looking at the Southside incentives and different things like that that could impact that. The final one that I had was like a historic property in major disrepair, vacant for multiple years, multiple code violations, considered unsafe, but not tax delinquent, and not in our development area. So let's assume that the assessed value was $125,000. That would mean that their property tax goes from $338 to $1,875, which could be enough to incentivize something, especially if you're looking at owning that for multiple years and not doing anything with it.
And so what would stop someone from just listing it for sale for a week and then taking it back off from sale? Would that circumvent what we're trying to put in place, or will we look into that and
I think that we take those case by case. I think that we put those on the list if we think that there is not a real, genuine effort to sell those, and let the code enforcement board hear directly from the appellant of, this is why I don't think I should be on there, and then defer those for a year. And if they continue to try to defer that and defer that, then they would need to pay the rate.
Yeah, I think just a couple of comments. I mean, I know the staff's been working on this. Again, thank you for all the hard work. And we've been through several iterations, discussions, and one of the things that came back to me a few weeks ago is like, you know, it's going to cost $30,000 a year. We're really not going to get a lot out of it. You know, we're not going to be able to cash flow it. But really, I think the bigger issue for us and for the city, you know, is that, you know, there is a cost to allowing a building just to sit there and deteriorate. And there are two excellent examples, one being the worst example or best is Catterjohn Building, you know, which we all were aware of. And I kind of wonder, you know, had we had this, I mean, who knows? I don't know what the value at the time was, but I'd have to believe that it would provide some motivation, you know, for people to think about what they were doing. So it's not really, you know, an opportunity for us to generate more revenue as it is a motivational tool to make sure people think before they buy a building, and once they've bought it, you know, to make sure that they continue to improve it, you know, or to put it up for sale. And I think it just states that the city is really not going to accept, you know, vacant buildings just deteriorating over time. We've sort of, you know, we've proved that by our actions, but this is just furthering that thought, so.
I agree, Mayor. I think that there's a huge cost to losing a building, whether it's downtown or anywhere else. The cost to the city is much more than $30,000, just one building. So I think it's well worth the money, and I think it also sends a message that you know, if you're going to buy a building on speculation and just plan on sitting on it for years and years and years without doing anything, that maybe need to think about it, make sure that you have a plan in place to redevelop it
Right.
within a period of time, so.
We want people to buy buildings downtown and put something in them.
Do something with them,
Now.
absolutely, yeah,
Right.
that's a good point.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I think we're ready to move on to the last ordinance introduction.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance abolishing ordinance number 2023-06-8782 and establishing and approving simplified Southside incentives for homeowners and developers, and authorizing the Director of Planning and Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency to administer the incentive programs and provide financial assistance to eligible applicants for improvements, repair, remodel, reconstruction of the existing homes, and construction of new homes to support the Southside Revitalization Plan. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance repeals the existing pilot Southside Housing and Business Incentive Grants and their corresponding ordinance, and it introduces the expanded homeowner and developer incentive grants for new housing redevelopment and construction as part of the Southside Renovation Plan.
So moved.
Second.
You've got reinforcements behind you.
I do. And I just am going to kick it off here, and we'll dig in just a minute. We have a couple of slides to talk through. But I want to make sure that we're clear tonight that this is on homeowners currently there and new construction, single-family residential. That's what we're focusing on.
In phase one.
In phase one, correct, with this incentive. And we've just got two quick slides. I've met with most everyone here, and we've talked through it one-on-one. But any other questions, those kind of things? And Palmer's going to handle the first one, and he's going to talk about the homeowners that have been there, and that's
Okay.
what started out with the pilot program. And then I'm going to follow up with the developers.
Okay.
Thank you for the introduction, Carol. Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. But I'm very excited to talk about one of the first programs coming out of the full Southside Revitalization Plan. We adopted the plan back in August, and this is one of the first really big components that we're moving forward, again, as Carol said, to address the housing conditions within the area. There it is. So, to briefly catch us back up, previously, a few years ago, we had the pilot incentive program in our pilot area, the smaller portion of the Walter Jeton neighborhood. And this was a micro grant for general beautification on the exteriors of homes. And then we also had a larger grant program for new construction and major rehab projects. What we're proposing through this ordinance is a larger expansion of these two programs, which are now together. So generally, this is now a 30% reimbursement of your project costs. This is up to a maximum of $30,000. You can use this for the cost of new construction of a new home, or you can also use this for renovations and rehab projects on your home as well. So the general expenses that are eligible for this are both interior and exterior. Previously with that micro grant, it was kept to the exterior of homes, and that maximum award was $5,000. So we're really working to try and expand both of these incentives together. So the general expenses for rehab would include windows, siding, electrical, HVAC, new roofing, porches, accessibility ramps, anything that really helps the structural stability of the home in of itself, or the building of a new one completely as well. Generally speaking, the things that are not eligible under this program would be general maintenance, such as cleaning, general debris, trash pickup, or appliances and new furniture. That's not covered through this grant here. But again, this is going to work as a reimbursement grant. So essentially, an applicant would come forward with their plans, whether it's for a new home or the estimates for the rehab that they have planned, whether that be their windows or their roofs or etc. They'll provide the estimate for that, and we are able to intake that application and then calculate how much the reimbursement would be. And again, that's going to be using a 30% of their project cost. So I have a few examples here. Just saying a minimum investment of $5,000. They have their smaller project there. Again, that would be matched with a $1,500 award. Going up to $25,000, you can see they would get a $7,500 reward, and then there's that maximum coming out when you spend $100,000. That would get you that $30,000 maximum. Of course, if you're building a home, you're going to spend a lot more than $100,000, but that's where that total is going to cap out at. I will also note, you can't, you don't have to apply just one time and then you're out. So let's say you have a few different rehab projects or expenses at your home. You can apply up to 3 times, up to a maximum of $30,000 in total. So $30,000 is the maximum award that can be placed at one singular property, but a homeowner can apply multiple times to get up to that point. And we say currently 3 times is what they can do. So that's for us to intake that application. So on the latter half of this, after they've submitted their estimates, we've reviewed it and give them the quote of how much we want to reimburse them, they can begin the construction of their project. After the completion of their project, they will file for reimbursement through our department, and that is when we verify that the work has been completed to the point that we approved.
So they give us invoices? They
Yes,
show
we would
us
get those
invoices.
final receipts from them essentially, and then documentation of the working of itself. So similar to what we had before previously, and I think a lot of great work came of that. But this is what we heard from the community. We want to expand it, and since we have this plan, this is one of the first items coming of that. It's a larger area, and this is in a way to hopefully make people's dollars go farther as well.
How long would it take a person to be reimbursed?
It depends on the length of the project, sure. But whenever they file for that, it is within a few weeks or 2, even. It's a quicker process. And it also depends on the amount of information they provide back to us as well. So,
Sounds great.
okay.
It does.
We can talk a bit more when it comes to another part of new construction through our developer grant incentives. From that, I'll pass it on to Carol then.
Thank you, Palmer.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the developer grant incentive is the next portion of the ordinance. And this one, we really structured to try to get new, get more density, to get new construction going in the area. And one of the things that, if you'll recall, about a year ago, we did some listening sessions with people, and one of the things is they were concerned to come to the area and take risks. We got that feedback from CFSB as well. And when we leaned on Mr. Denton, he had worked in Fountain Avenue. He had also worked in Lower Town, and that was one of the things that he reminded us of, is that people are afraid to take the risk. So how are you going to minimize the risk? Once you get a few going, then the market will take care of itself. So that's really how we targeted this incentive. And so what we're asking to do is that we have met with developers, and we're asking them to come in, and what they're going to do is sign a memorandum of agreement with the city. And they're going to guarantee us what they're going to build and what their price is going to be, and then pending an appraisal, we'll close the gap. So what that's saying basically is, let's just use a $200,000 home as an example. If they come in and they say, we're going to build a $200,000 home, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and this is what we need to get our money back, we need to be guaranteed this money. We'll enter into a memorandum of agreement, give them a time period to finish it, and then once they have finished it, we'll have it appraised. They will, at that point, list it for sale, whether by themselves or through a realtor. We don't care about that. But we'll take that appraised number and the number that they entered into the contract for, their sale price, and their buyer will be awarded the gap, the difference. Now, it has to be a qualified buyer. We'll work with the banks, no matter what bank it is, there's a disclosure they'll have to agree to, but we'll work with the bank to make sure that it's a qualified buyer. But that $75,000 gap in this scenario will essentially serve as their down payment and help them get in the house. To be able to do that, we're going to take a second on the property and a non-performing mortgage. And what that means, it's essentially a 0% interest mortgage, and it goes against the property right behind the bank, and it will be a 10-year note that they'll have with us. It will be reduced by 20% over that period of time. But if they were to sell, if they were in 5 years and then they chose to sell, half of that incentive is going to come back to us. It's reduced according to the time period that they
10% a
stay.
year.
Yes, did I say 20?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
10%.
Yes, yes. And we talked about doing it 5 years. We had a hearty discussion about doing it 5 years, but what oftentimes people don't realize is that that incentive has to count as income for that family. So if we amortize it out over 10 years, then $7,500 is what they're paying in income on, as opposed to $15,000
Yeah.
over 5. That's why.
So this example, I just want to, the builder builds it for 200. It appraises for 125. Somebody buys it for 200. They're not going to buy it for 200 if the builder spent 200.
Correct. The developer has to get very real and understand his margins when he comes and signs that memorandum of agreement with us, because he's going to tell us his sale price. You're correct.
He's going to tell you, so in this case, he would have come to us and said, my sale price is going to be
200,000.
200,000.
And his
so
margin is whatever his margin is.
So his construction cost is really his
It's
cost.
his responsibility.
Okay.
And in meeting with them, most all of them that we met with, we had a luncheon or a breakfast actually.
Yeah, very
with the-
successful.
with the developers. And in meeting with them, almost all of them are able to tell us. I was very surprised, but their pencils are pretty sharp.
Yeah.
They know what their margins are, and they know, but they also know that if they can't turn it quickly, that it eats into that margin. So it keeps them
Right.
turning and burning, as one of them said to me.
So the difference between the 200,000 and that's a lower appraised value
It
on the
is.
$200,000 house. Is it because of the lack of density of
Comps.
new homes
Correct.
and comps in that area? So once you get more homes in there, the appraised value should begin to go up on all of the others, correct?
We are figuring that probably 10 will make a difference. We should see the
So
market change.
they'll be built in the same
If we-
area to help
yes,
bring that up?
Yes, we want them so that they're visual from one another. And we're hoping that if we could have 10 coming up out of the ground by spring, that it will start to change the market. And we've talked about that with appraisers, we've talked about that with bankers, we've talked about it with realtors, and everyone seems to feel like once that kind of energy starts, it will start to change the market. And we really don't think that we'll have to use 75 on each one of the 10. 10's our goal.
Right.
We don't think we'll have to use
Right.
75, because you're gonna get some people that are gonna build 2-bedroom, 2-bath. You're gonna have some that may build a larger home and want to assume that risk. But this is the maximum amount that we're willing to do.
And that's exactly how it happened with Fountain Avenue. I mean,
It is.
the first few houses sold below the cost of the builder, and the city turned around and made the builder whole on those. In this way, kind of like how you've done it, where instead of making the builder whole on it, you're kind of making the buyer whole on it, because they're paying basically what's above the appraisal rate. It's all the same thing.
It is all the same thing. This is just structuring it a little
Yeah.
different. And it does cause the builder as well as the city to assume a little risk. But in the way that it was done previously, there was buybacks. And, the city lost on average, from the research I've done, about $60,000 per home. And there were 4 that they lost
And
that
those
amount
were
on.
nicer homes than what we're talking about here, a $200,000 home. Those homes that was, 15 years ago too, so.
Correct. And I think you'll see nicer homes start to be built
Yeah.
in the area too.
Yeah, there's demand for new homes, new efficient homes. I mean, there's definitely demand out there, so.
Right. And we're willing to work with them, that with URCDAs we talked about earlier. They'll have the properties. They can, make a proposal for a property. They can show us their plan. They can have the developer can do all that. We can work with them. And I think that we'll be able to turn it fairly quickly. So hopefully by spring, we'll be able to see more progress.
Well, it's been a long time coming. It's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears here, but, we're making real progress now.
We feel like we
And
are.
it's very exciting. So,
And again, a shout out, CFSB's here, and they have offered up to 100% financing. They're working with closing costs, all those things. And there are other banks that have reached out, but they have stepped up and kind of charted the course and started first. So we want to tell them
Yeah,
how
they- actually,
appreciative we are.
That's
Thank
kind of the grease, the financing, that's the grease that makes the thing work. And so we really appreciate what CFSB's doing to
Absolutely.
help Paducah.
And I do have a question. So is that appraised value or the area, this phase one area, what is the appraised value of the homes currently? Because we mentioned that it would affect the other homes in that area too, hopefully, or potentially raise their appraisement value. So what is the current appraisement for most of them?
They're all over the board. You know, that a lot depends on square footage, and it also takes into consideration the age of the home, the style of the home, how much is in disrepair, and they're all over the board. I wish I could just tell you that, you know, just average $100 a square foot and calculate that out, but there's so many things that an appraiser takes into consideration when they tour the home that they're all over the board. We haven't been able to get a good number. When Palmer and West went through and did the inventory, that's one of the things that we looked at, and they're all over the board.
But what percentage of those homes are actually landlord-owned versus?
So our phase one area is Kentucky to Caldwell, the loop over to 10th Street, those tracks back in the back. So in that area, there's 1,061 properties. Over 400 of them are vacant, and 50% of the occupied homes are rental.
Gotcha, okay.
So that's one of the reasons that we have not, people have asked us about incentives for multifamily. They've asked us, you know, incentives for duplexes and those kind of things. Not that we want to discourage that. We will definitely have a conversation with them, but that agreement or that development might look a little differently than just this. We're trying to build back single-family
Home
home
ownership.
ownership. That's the goal with these incentives. The others will come. But this is really the backbone of our community, and we've got to get that going.
any other questions? Great job.
Thank you all.
Onward and upward.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, that's all the ordinances we have for tonight, and now we have a discussion, just an update on commission priorities. If you remember, we met last year, we all got together in sort of a retreat format to talk about our priorities, and we decided to do those for 2 years instead of one, if you recall, which was a bit of a change, and so Michelle works diligently to keep all of us, thanks guys, to keep all of us up to date on how we're making it, and so I'll turn it over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Clerk. I'm excited to be here to talk about our commission priorities, and actually, a number of the items on the agenda tonight are related to these commission priorities. So, to the Mayor's point, I think we've done a great job of staying focused and working as a team to hit the vision that the board has for our community. So with that, I did want to mention, these are highlights. This is not every single activity related to all of our commission priorities. But it's meant to be very conversational, so please feel free to jump in. All right, so I think starting off with one where we've made great progress and see some great successes is downtown and economic development. As you know, Main Street was successfully transitioned to an external organization, and they'll actually provide a more full update to the board at a January meeting. But, you know, they have their board up and running. The city's helping fund them. They've had some great events, like they've picked up the cocktail trails, got those going. We had the whistle stop at downtown, which was great. I know several of us were there. So, you know, they're really rocking and rolling. There's a lot of things going on downtown. I think the number going around is 21 new projects opening up downtown. So a lot of great economic development happening, and we'll have a, you know, more full presentation from Main Street in January.
Yeah, and the 21 new projects was a little bit mind-blowing to me when I heard it. And they're not all not all open yet.
Yep.
You know, but, man, it shows a lot of
Yeah, it
great
does.
activity.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, our abandoned urban properties that we talked about just earlier, you know, is designed to dovetail into and help Main Street and downtown, you know, as much as we can. And of course, the riverfront development, I mean, we're going like a house of fire there, so.
If you have not driven through it, you should. I mean, I almost cried. I just think it's making it look so good. So excited about it.
Be strong.
I know, I'm just so overwhelmed. It's really going to be nice.
All right. Yeah, it's great, and I think we're working towards substantial completion with it. Do you want to talk about that, Darren?
No, I was just going to say, we are on target for substantial completion in the end of June, 1st of July timeframe for next summer. So.
Yeah. And of course, I want to give a shout out for all the great decorations with planning and public works. I know that was something that's important. And Main Street, I guess, you know, Commissioner Smith, we've talked a lot about it. But we had great fall decorations down there, and then there's some great winter enhancements. So I know the planning team and Public Works and Main Street have worked together to really enhance that. So
I'd
Proud of that.
jokingly say,
Yeah.
I'd love to see downtown look like a Hallmark Christmas movie.
we'll get there.
So we probably need about 25 times more decoration.
So fess up, how many Hallmark Christmas movies have
Hey,
you
it's
watched so
on my
far?
house constantly, and it's not me that has it on.
But I think we are making great efforts. I mean, when I was out of town recently, I took pictures and sent them to Carol and
Yeah.
said, next year's goal for Main Street, you know, because every store, it was in New York City, but, you know, everything's relative. Relative. You can scale it down or whatever, scale it, but every store had pumpkins and mums and everything, so. And I think it's looking good.
Go ahead, Commissioner Henderson.
I was just going to ask if you can give us some ideas of what some of the 21 new projects are, or can we say that now?
Yeah, sure. Well, of course, the US Bank building, you know,
Okay,
that's
right, right.
is probably the biggest one, you know, and I met with that out-of-town family. I mean, they are so excited and invested in Paducah. After I met with them, I mean, I'm even more excited. There's a new Indian restaurant, a new Asian fusion restaurant going in. They're both in different stages of development.
Fly Guys,
I'm sorry?
Fly Guys, new men's store.
Yeah, new men's store.
I
There's
think it
a,
also included the Main Street office.
Yeah.
Main Street
Main
office.
Street's
And it looks
there.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. There's a spa going in with, you know, downtown.
Yeah.
And, I don't know,
Well, you- I
That's
didn't-
good. That's a good
No,
coverage
yeah, that's
of it.
good. I
Yeah.
just wanted to get
oh,
an idea.
two new distilleries for all you drinkers out
Yeah,
there.
I knew that.
And they're right next to each other, and one of them, Old Terrell, they're launching this week, I think. I think they're out in stores,
It's on
and,
Facebook, they are.
and they're launching in the building that I grew up in, essentially, you know, the building that my first job was in, so it's really, it's just very great.
Good deal.
Oh, good stuff.
I mean, I knew
Yeah.
that they were there, I just didn't know what all of them were.
Sure, yep, and then, like I said, Main Street will be here to give a really more full update. They're about 6 months in, you know, since they've been up and running, so they'll get into that more too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Press on.
Another exciting one, we're hitting all the high notes to begin with, get some momentum. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time here, because we just talked about them.
Yeah.
But of course, the Southside efforts have been great. I think one thing I did want to talk about with the upcoming, what you'll see too is you'll really see that enhanced effort around community partnerships and communications. We have some great banners to go down Walter Jeton. We're going to do quarterly newsletters. They're talking about community events. So I think that you'll start to see some things, you know, after the first of the year, some noticeable things. In addition to all of the substantive things that Carol talked about today.
Okay?
Yep. All right, so again, here's another one, support for human and social services. We've already talked about this tonight. So we have the PCM agreement and then the 3 homeless services grants that we've already talked about. But I did want to highlight it. And then, of course, we have our residential rental property occupancy permitting. You know, this is one that we have talked about internally a little bit, but we have our fire prevention team is working with the attorneys. We need to do an ordinance update to it. We also, in the budget, included a new code enforcement officer. to help us, with that ordinance, with enforcement of that ordinance. So we hired a code enforcement officer, and then we had one retire. So they're back at the recruitment, but we have brought on the one that was technically budgeted, and then they're actively recruiting for another code enforcement officer. So that ordinance introduction, we're going to bring to future commission meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on the update on that ordinance, and so we'll have a lot of discussion around that. So
It seems like we should have been recruiting for 2 code
Yeah.
enforcement officers.
that's exactly what I said to
know.
Michelle today.
Because we know these retirements are coming on. It's
Yeah.
not like,
We actually, that one was a
Yeah.
surprise.
it
Yeah.
was.
Yes.
Okay.
But you're right. No, we should
Yeah.
continuously be recruiting. Yep.
Yeah. City facilities is something I wanted to highlight because we had that facility studies done in 2020. The board has been great about budgeting, taking care of our own facilities, so we're very appreciative of that. We've made significant progress at the Public Works Building. If you haven't been out there, it looks great. There's been new roofs and gutters. They redid the front porch. It needed a little bit of love, and it looks great. Of course, you've seen we've been doing work to City Hall. We have the HVAC, or the duct cleaning, the window tinting, and then we're looking at some other changes inside. And then Fire Station 1, they're looking at improvement to a main drain line. So we've really been able to knock off a lot of projects on that facility maintenance, so we're very appreciative of that. And then also funding future facilities, so setting money aside for, those larger capital projects and doing land acquisition and design, that type of thing. So there was budget increased in FY26. We're working towards the design of a new parks maintenance building. Of course, we're working towards the police building. And really what's kind of coming up with that is we've been putting together a capital improvement plan. And so that identifies the major projects and proposed funding sources. So I know the interim finance director and the city manager and I have been working through that. And so that will come to you at a future commission meeting to kind of talk about what are the proposed funding sources for these capital needs. It's been a lot of work going into facilities.
Yeah, so that's something that's been with us since the 2020. So we've been scratching and clawing our way, trying to we've made a lot of improvements. I mean, we spent money on buildings, but when you get to building a parks maintenance building, that's a couple $1 million. A new police station, Lord, we don't really know what that number is going to be. So we have to continue to plan for the replacement of buildings.
Right.
I mean, we just have to do that, and it has to be part of our budgeting process. And I know there's a very rich capital improvement plan that's been worked on by, the finance team and you, city manager, so.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that.
That's right. And if you remember too, we include the leadership team in setting the commission priorities, and their input, and this is always one of their biggest needs that they
Right.
talk about, so. Okay, we're gonna keep rolling. With quality housing, there were a few items I wanted to talk about. So as you remember, we've been working on the Catterjohn site. The mayor brought it up earlier with the abandoned urban properties. So we are working towards developing that site with residential use. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the permits for this year. So we look at permits completed, and when you're looking at kind of single-family new builds, that includes condos, townhomes, houses. We've had about 23 permits completed, so a way to think of that is probably done and have been, occupied. Yep. And then I think that's a little bit of increase from past years, but I think the big story is that we have a lot more rental units than we've had in the past. So that includes apartment complexes and duplexes. So we have 119 rental units permits that have been completed, and that's up significantly from the past couple of years, so.
Yeah, and I think everybody sees the
Yep.
rental units going up, and people wonder, where are all these people coming from that are going to rent these units? And then as soon as they open them up, they're
Right.
full.
I think
They're every
full
one of them
before
full.
they open.
But I think there's a lot of great things going on, future development. I mean, there's going to be a lot of construction jobs coming up in the community.
Yeah.
Those are most all of those, they can be jobs that people from out of town take and need a rental, for a period of time. So we just got a lot of great development opportunities going on in
Yeah.
the city, in the community, you know, so.
That's right. That's right.
I just want to mention the Catterjohn, without dragging us through all of that. That project's lagged a little bit, but we're working hard, you know, and we hope to be able to talk about that at the next commission meeting. Have a little, that's the hope, that we'll be able to do that, but
Yep.
we're pushing hard,
Yep.
you know, to get a development agreement and something to talk about, so,
It's a high priority for staff. And I know the commission. Yep.
go ahead.
Okay. City staffing needs, this was another item that was heard from the leadership team and got included in our commission priorities. Of course, there's some positions that are being recruited that were added in this budget, the firefighters. We had 3 firefighters, we're getting ready to recruit for the assistant planning director. We have filled the recreation specialist, and then, of course, we've already talked about the code enforcement officer. But the direction we also heard from the board is we don't just want to hear about new ads, we really want to hear about efficiencies that are gained. And so, you know, I do have a couple of highlights from our departments. We have several departments that are working really, I think the thing I've seen the most is they're really using technology for efficiencies. So we have, you know, human resources that has implemented a new recruitment software. We have customer experience working through, of course, the app, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, with quality of life. But we've already had, I think, 390 requests. So if you think about it, that's 390 service requests that aren't calls. You have police department, public works, fire department, both suppression and prevention with the technology enhancements, and then, you know, finance with everything that they're doing around the quarterly payroll and people submitting those electronically. So we have a lot of departments that are capitalizing on technology for efficiencies. We also had some cost savings with like our risk manager decreasing the mod rate. The deflection specialist that we've talked a lot about has reduced repeat calls for service. And then, you know, one thing we've talked about, I think with like the customer experience department, is they actually reduced from 3 to 2. So we do look at those efficiency gains and not just, you know, adding staff that are aligned with the priorities.
You know, one of the things I'll point out is, I mean, it's small, but we have been able to reduce one head count in customer experience as a result of the, you know, the app, because, you know, people are, you know, using technology. And so I just think we always have to be looking for efficiency gains in all the department. You know, trying to do more with less, use more technology, to drive more efficiency within the city.
Yep.
So,
I think that message has been received from the leadership team and they've taken it to heart.
all right, thank you.
Okay, let's see here. Revenue equity, so Finance Department has done a great job digging into this. Of course, we've already talked about the minimum business license fees and gross receipts threshold changes. They also have recovered about $700,000 in collection efforts. And in terms of business licenses, they've had 1,200 new business license registered this calendar year. So they've really dug in and they'll keep on those efforts.
Right.
Yeah, that's really great work.
Yeah, agreed. I know sometimes it feels, you know, we hit these bullets with such, there's so much work that goes into them, we have great results, and it's like a bullet, so that.
You want me to talk for a few more minutes?
No,
about
I
it?
don't think anyone does, but I think they're ready to go, but it is just amazing how all of this work comes up into these very high-level bullets. So quality of life, we have the tree voucher program out and running. I did get an update today, and I think we've had 233 people so far that have wanted that incentive, so,
Wow.
or the voucher. So,
That's great.
Yeah, we've had a really
That's
great
awesome.
response from that.
Yeah.
If you hadn't got your tree voucher and you live in the city, let us hear from you.
Of course, we've had the recycling and brush enhancements this year, which I think the community looks great. I think Public Works has done a great job going around and getting that, you know, brush. We have the new app, so here's another plug for My Paducah. We have a wonderful app and online portal where you can enter service requests. And so far, we've had 880 downloads. But Mayor and I were talking about what we can do to increase that. And actually, I was talking with Public Works because we were talking about the bulk item pickup, and we thought there may be an opportunity there to make people use that app for their bulk item pickup. So that's one way to increase.
We got to get the commissioners, we got to get all the commissioners out, you know, getting people to download this app. Sandra, can you go door to door in your neighborhood?
We'll have a contest.
That's right.
When it's
That's-
warmer.
Yeah. It's very
On your golf
user-friendly. Kudos to the team. I think we got feedback from the board, and so that was a great effort that was launched this year.
Yeah, and I'm going to call out, mentioned how, cleaning up and everything, but the folks that I talk with that are developing the U.S. Bank building, they came in and met with them back here, and they looked at me and they said, how do you keep your city so clean? We come in here and it's amazing. Everybody takes care of their places, and so, it really made me proud, of all the work that, the staff, everybody does. Our staff, of course, led by Chris, but also the business owners out there, everybody respects their property and everybody else's, and it really shows to out-of-town
Yep.
people.
I agree. It's very well said.
Okay?
We'll be coming forward with a bulk item pickup enhancement, hopefully at the next meeting is what we've been talking about. So we can roll that out at the beginning of next year, after some blessing from the board, that it meets your all's expectation. And then we've done a little bit of initial research on the childcare and, getting more like Uber and Lyft and that kind of private transportation in the city. But we'll put together a more full report with recommendations probably in the first quarter is what we're looking like. But, the same team that works on golf carts and those kinds of things works on this, so. I'll just throw that out there.
I think it will be a big issue in the 2026 General Assembly.
Yeah.
Childcare will in particular, so that may be some things
We-
that will come out that would help us.
Yeah, we've done some, initial, and without some help from the General Assembly, it's going to be tough. There's going to be some challenges, but we're still focused on it, so.
That's right, and like we've done some initial zoning research and don't believe we have any zoning that's really impacting those types of kind of in-homes from coming into service, but we'll put together a more full report and different ideas, so I think first quarter is when you can expect that.
Okay,
Okay.
keep rolling.
So now we're into kind of our continuous improvement items. We're waiting, the board authorized us to apply for that Branch Street grant. It's a request of $2 million with a state match. So we've heard from the funding agencies that we should hear in middle of December. So we're hoping to get good news on that project. And then, of course, in the upcoming capital improvement program, we have plugged in some stormwater projects so we can talk about, what that would look like in funding opportunities.
Keep moving.
Mental health, of course, we've done a significant amount of community awareness efforts and organizational activities. This is a continuous improvement, but Pam does a great job reaching out to the community, and then HR organizes all of our activities in May, including mental health lunches and that type of thing. So I think we get a great response.
Yeah,
from
that's
that.
been real successful, I think.
I think so, too.
Raising awareness about mental health, so I'm very pleased with that.
And then finally, and on another high note, we have the Greenway Trail, trails and bike lanes. So we've completed the conceptual map. We're working through the design and engineering, and we plan to have actually a contract to the board for that at the next meeting. So that's been moving along really well. And then, of course, we'll have to work through funding and the CIP and the design and engineering is funded, but we're going to have to work through funding, grants, that type of thing. So really excited about that one. Okay.
Yeah, bike lanes, those are like 10-year projects, what we're trying to do, but at least we're going.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, and the other great thing about it is it aligns with the Southside plan.
yeah.
Kind of our revitalization, that area that we've talked about, this project goes right through there. So it's great to be putting city infrastructure improvements where, we're focusing our neighborhood efforts too. So what's next? Of course, I want to thank the team. This is a team effort between the commission, staff, city manager's office. Everyone is involved in implementing these. I'm putting together kind of an annual report with KLC, so you'll have that booklet will be made available. And then we are going to have a priorities kind of reaffirmation with the board. And so we're looking at that the afternoon of January 16th to make sure there's no tweaks that we want to make to these as we head into that second year with our priorities. And that aligns really well with the budgeting process too, so that we can align the priorities with the budget.
Okay.
Great job.
It's tough to be the last person on the agenda
That's all
in
right.
a long meeting. But you did a great job.
Thank you.
And commission, I just remind all of us, commission priorities, I mean, that we spent a lot of time up front
Mm-hmm.
trying to prioritize the things that we think as a group are most important. And then the staff works hard to make sure that those get funded,
That's right.
and stay focused on them. So,
That's exactly
great
right.
job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, comments from city manager?
Mayor and Commission, and just for the public's knowledge, just want to remind that City Hall and our majority of our offices will be closed Thursday and Friday for the Thanksgiving holiday. We've done a lot of public announcements, but also a reminder, because of those closures, those folks and residents that get our trash refuse collection and recycle collection, that those 2 days, Thursday and Friday, will not occur, and those will be moved to next Monday, beginning of the week. So, and that's also a good plug that if, as we've talked before, if you haven't downloaded my Paducah app and you want to stay up to date on all of our activities and closures in there, that's a great way to get updated by having that app downloaded.
And if you hadn't signed up for recycling, please do so. Any other commissioners? Comments down this way?
You
Yes,
already
sir.
know I'm gonna speak, but, no. I just wanted to circle back to the pet ordinance as well, just for the other commissioners, because there were some misleading ads that were out on Facebook, and I want to thank Kim for bringing that to my attention, because I received 50-plus emails from people saying, vote no, and I'm like, the first few, I'm responding back, because I'm thinking they're personally reaching out, then I start seeing more and more and more, I'm like, okay, this is automated somewhat. But there's an organization that was putting misleading ads out, basically misrepresenting what the ordinance even was that we were introducing. So I just wanted to bring that forward and let the other commissioners know, if you got those emails, which I'm sure we all did, that those ads were misleading the community on what we were actually doing. And again, I want to thank Kim for coming and speaking on that and, bringing a blueprint of an ordinance. My whole time being on the commission, I don't think I've seen someone actually bring a blueprint for us to utilize, so that's, I appreciate that. And on a lighter note, I guess I'll say, we all saw the Inside the Job show released, and I wanted to thank the team, Ms. Pam, Dan, and everybody at WKCTC, and it was great to have all of us featured on that show, and whenever I pitched that idea earlier this year, it was with the goal of just making government TV less like government TV and reaching a broader audience and bringing more transparency. So I think we accomplished that goal with this first episode.
Okay. Thank you, DeJuan. Sandra? Okay. I think we do have an executive session tonight. We will not be taking any action afterwards. And I will entertain a motion to move into executive session.
Let the clerk read it.
Oh, sorry.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: collective bargaining with public employees as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1E, issues which might lead to the appointment, dismissal, or disciplining of an employee as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1F, and a specific proposal by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business entity as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1G.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.